Love fam, it's your girl, the Civilized Savage, and this is Between Me and You. Open reflections from the pages of my journal. So, it is exactly what it says on the tin. I am a big journal girly. I write all the time. And for a long time, I've been wanting to share some of the insights that come to me post meditation, while I'm writing, and while I'm just pouring my whole little heart out onto the pages of my journal. And this is it. This space is precisely what this is all going to be about. I think for right now, I'm going to keep this space audio. I guess the vibe is kind of like a voice note. There we go. Yeah. So let's treat this like a voice note that I've sent you after I've been writing in my journal. So, right, with that, let's open the pages to the journal. So, I really want to share with you guys my reflections on commitment. Now, I know with me saying that, for a lot of you, that probably automatically brought to mind visions of relationships, romance, and it might lean into that for you. That might be the exploration that you take. It might be something completely different. But whichever way it lands, my only request is that you allow it to land. So, what got me writing about commitment was the result of me starting a 100-day exercise challenge via Peloton. The premise was super simple. It was 100 days consecutive exercise. Okay, nothing too crazy. And to be fair, I was actually doing really well. I missed 3 days out of the entire month of January. Now, for me, the issue wasn't the missing of the 3 days. The issue was what my brain told me about the fact that I had missed the 3 days. Now, in the past and across all of my platforms, I've spoken openly about the very negative internal self-talk that I experience. You guys are probably aware that in psychology, there's a reference to the inner critic. And when I tell you my inner critic be critical, yeah, hyper critical. Honestly, a lot of the times I'm really not nice to myself. And don't get me wrong, this is not an intentional thing, but it is an observance of the way that my inner critic speaks a lot of the time. It's an awareness of the internal voice that I have and the dialogue that exists between myself and my brain. Now, if you're someone with a neurospicy brain like myself, or you're someone who simply just has a super loud inner critic, you might be familiar with the concept of a shame spiral. So as much as I had done more days than I hadn't done, my brain started to tell me a million negative things about the fact that I hadn't been consistent with this 100-day challenge. And in true neurospice fashion, my brain decided to take me on a complete spiral of a shame loop. And when I tell you, my inner critic is loud. Oh my God, you ain't shit. You're such a failure. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay. You get the message. You get the picture. But when I actually took the time to sit, calm myself down, have a bit of a conversation with myself, hold a bit of a meditation, what actually started to come up for me was the following. Am I actually struggling with commitment, or am I more struggling with the way that I hold myself within the concept of commitment? Hear me out. I'm kind of feeling as if a lot of our confusion, well, let me speak about myself because it is actually a reflection from my journal and what I was thinking. I feel as if typically for me, when I think about commitment, I go into this familiar default of all in, no days off, go hard or go home, push through no matter what. And I feel like this approach makes sense completely if we're looking through the lens of masculinity. If we're considering commitment through the lens of masculinity, it absolutely makes sense to have this approach. Now, remember, masculine energy is fixed, unchanging, stable, linear. It's an energy of action. So in the awareness that the masculine energy is fixed and stable, when we say things like, I'm locked in, that is a complete and direct reflection of an association with the masculine energy. Now, before I go any further, let me just make it explicitly clear that I have zero issue with this approach to commitment. The concept of enduring, sticking it out, being committed, staying locked in, being focused, and having a one-pointed fixed direction absolutely has its place. The masculine energy is designed for that exact purpose. It's to get us motivated, to be active, to get us in the space to do the things that need to be done. The space where it starts to get a little bit techie for me is the fact that as people, men and women, we're often taught that this is the only valid way to commit. We've internalized the notion that this is the sole model of what it means to succeed. And I'm realizing that this is absolutely not working for me. Like, it's really not. I say that because for anybody, but particularly, again, people who are susceptible to burnout and doing too much, we need to find a balance. Not only, in my opinion, is it super unhealthy, it's just not very sustainable to think that we can run on this direct, gung-ho, all in, 100% energy every single minute of the day. It's just not viable. So enter commitment through the feminine energy lens. I feel like when I started to look at commitment through a feminine energy lens, something very different started to emerge for me. Now, remember that the feminine is cyclical. The whole nature of the feminine energy is to be in flow, change, adaptive. It moves in waves. It recognizes and reflects the idea that capacity fluctuates. Unlike the masculine, the feminine oscillates. It gives space for ebbs and flows, high energy, low energy. It gives us the space to attune to whatever we might need in any particular moment. I feel like the feminine asks the question, how can I stay connected? Whereas the masculine doesn't question, the masculine just states, get it done. I think the feminine encourages us to be more in relationship with ourselves. And by that, I mean being in relationship with your body, your energy levels, your seasons of life, your particular emotional or nervous system capacity. I think commitment through the lens of the feminine allows for variation. It allows for pauses, adjustments, not as a loophole or a get out of jail free card, but as a way as staying connected with something over time. I feel like the feminine approach to commitment allows us to stay committed for longer, and it's actually a more sustainable approach for staying in connection with our intentions. I feel like something that was really key that was coming up for me was the idea that adapting or adjusting is not abandonment. It's totally permissible to compromise and not collapse on our commitments. I think the thing that a lot of people fear is that by adapting, that somehow lessens or weakens our commitment. The idea of being flexible doesn't mean that we're any less committed to the things that we have intention to fulfill. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not making a case here for either one of these approaches being better than the other, because neither one of them are. Each approach and each energy serves their own unique purpose. And there's going to be times when we're going to need one or the other. Our job is to use our discernment to decide at which point, which approach is going to be the most suitable for our particular needs. Like with all things in life, it's about finding the balance. And I think that's where we begin to see the magic happen, when we allow these two energies to begin to interplay with one another. I feel like if these two energies were in conversation, the masculine would be like, this matters. And then the feminine energy would be like, well, how do we get to stay here for as long as possible? Okay, let me break down what I mean. So if you think about any situation in your life, right, you're going to have non-negotiables and negotiables. Certain things you're just not going to move on. Those are your masculine energy things, the things that are fixed, unchanging, and contained, right? These are the things that matter. These are your big, solid, foundational, unwavering rocks. Deeply grounded, deeply rooted, fixed, ain't going nowhere, locked in. These are the things that must get done. So if we're bringing this back to my 100-day challenge, something that is a pillar of my 100-day challenge and something that has to get done every single day is a moment of meditation. That's a non-negotiable and something that has to get done every single day. That forms part of my structure, part of my containment. That is part of my system and what's going to keep me on purpose throughout the 100-day challenge. How the feminine energy now complements this with this, let's find a way to stay here as long as we can. The supportive nature of the feminine asks, how can I help you to ensure that you get to do this thing that I know is of value to you? What conditions can I create to help you fulfill your intention? The feminine always asks, how can I help you to do the thing that I know needs doing? So, with that, bringing it back to my 100-day challenge and my meditation, I know that I need to do a meditation every single day. This is a non negotiable. But the feminine will ask me, do I have capacity to sit for a whole hour today? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe just showing up for 5 minutes is what I have capacity for today. But if I get it done in 5 minutes, and that's the condition that I need to enable me to do it, that's how we're going to do it. I know over the next 100 days, I need to be engaged in some type of physical activity. This needs to be done. This is part of the challenge. This has been determined as a non-negotiable as part of my masculine structure. The feminine then comes in and then says, okay, we can negotiate this and be, are you going to do slow flow today? Yoga, gentle? Are you going to go hard and do heavy weights, etc., etc.? The feminine energy allows us that space of negotiation. It allows us to be flexible with how long we do something, the intensity to which we do it, the form in which we do it. However, it doesn't stop us from getting the thing done. Now, taking this potentially off into somewhat of a tangent, I feel like the inability to distinguish between whether or not we're looking at commitment through the lens of the masculine or through the lens of the feminine can be quite detrimental to us. Because the feminine aspect of commitment is rarely named, modeled, or legitimized for anyone. And this is what's really landed for me as I'm resetting and re-beginning my 100-day challenge. Awareness of and access to your feminine energy does not make you weak. If anything, this awareness and access can really help to deepen your commitment to self and intention. In my own 100 commitment, this insight has really helped me to approach it very differently. Instead of asking myself, have I done it perfectly? Because honestly, I suffer with perfectionism in ways you wouldn't even understand. However, rather than be focused on if it's done perfectly or even well, it's, did I get it done? Did I stay connected? Am I still on purpose? Sometimes that looks like high intensity, fully contained within a structure. Other days it looks like adaptation, care, and taking things a little bit more slowly. Either way, in either case, the intention remains steady. My why, my purpose, my raison d'etre remains exactly the same. And I feel like this is what commitment can look like when it's rooted in presence rather than performance. Now, this might be yet another tangent of mine, but an additional question that came up for me was, how many commitments have I broken? Not because I didn't care, but because I only allowed myself one way of staying. Now, obviously, that was a question that I asked myself, but I'm absolutely throwing it out to you guys so you can explore it too, because I can't be the only person who felt like that's something worthy of exploration. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to have complete, solid, concrete answers. At this point, it's all just open, honest inquiry. So, on the note of honest inquiry, I'm going to share with you guys some additional questions that you guys can explore in your own time. Feel free to pause the recording, take time to write, listen right now, ponder it in your own mind. However you want to approach this, do it in your way. I would really love, if you feel comfortable, for you to share your insights with me, whether that's through comments, DMs. I feel like shared experiences really help us to connect, share, to remind us that we're not alone in this thing called life. And just hearing other people's stories helps to really remind us that other people are oftentimes going through what we're going through. So yeah, there's that. Okay, are you guys ready for the questions? Okay, so number one, when it comes to commitment, are you more all or nothing or adaptable? Two, do you associate flexibility with failure? Three, what would you change if commitment didn't require self-violence? And number 4, where in your life may a softer form of dedication may allow you to stay a little longer. So, with all of that, let's land. Let's close the pages of the journal and where are we at calling it, I guess, conclusions. I feel like in this exploration, for me, the whole concept of commitment is no longer about proving strength. And that's in a physical sense. You know, in relation, I was talking about exercise and my 100-day challenge, or even just enduring something just for the sake of it. Like, yeah, not every day. I think for me, commitment is now more about staying connected to myself, staying connected to what matters, and most of all, staying connected to compassion. Commitment doesn't have to be cruel in any context. So whether your commitment is to a habit, a relationship, a promise to yourself, remember that you get to choose the lens through which you view your approach to commitment. What is completely acceptable is adaptation and adjustment. What we don't do in relation to commitment is abandon. All right, guys, so there we have it. We are now closing the pages of my journal. If this exploration, let's say, has resonated with you in any particular way, feel free to share, like, comment, you know, all the good stuff, guys. I really want to hear you guys' views and opinions. I mean, this whole space has been born out of me giving myself the opportunity to explore without restrictions, limitations. And so I'm extending that to you guys in the sense that there's no right or wrong answers. It's just thoughts, opinions, insights that come up naturally and unfold between me and you.